They say that winter is just a season, but some winters cut to the bone. I am sitting here, knees pulled in, glancing for a sign of melting frost in this long, unrelenting crypto bear market. The cold is not merely outside, it moves inside you. But how long will this season last? That is the question gnawing at me, and maybe at you too. In these moments of raw honesty, where dread sits side by side with hope, I want to share with you not just numbers or cycles, but what it feels like to be down, really down, and still searching for a reason to believe. Before we begin, let me say this. If you are on this same wild, freezing ride, you are not alone. I make these videos not just to decode the charts, but because somewhere in these words, maybe we find comfort in the company. If you want to stay close on this journey as the seasons change, hit subscribe to Crypto 101 Central. And do not forget the bell. Sometimes, the most important news comes in the middle of the night, when hope is thinnest. Let us step in together. Every number, every cycle, every analyst's voice becomes a ghost story in the long cold. People say the average crypto winter lasts about 13 months, but few tell you how time slows, stretches, becomes a place rather than a date on a calendar. Maybe it started at the beginning of 2025. Maybe it never truly ends, just softens around the corners. My thesis? We are crawling out now, inch by inch. Some say the end is nigh. Others say the floor has not yet revealed itself. Bernstein's oracles peer into the fog and imagine the first buds of a recovery in 2026. Short cycles, brief colds. Maybe this is just a passing chill. Bitcoin scraping bottom near the previous high, the 60,000 range. Maybe the first half of this year holds the spring thaw. An on-chain analytics perspective sits by the fire with the data, murmuring that we are in the lowest 20%, based on every model. Mean reversions, technicals, shadows and echoes. Are we at the bottom? Your guess is as wild and as trembling as mine. Wintermute, the market's shifting beast, sees no domino collapse this time, no houses of cards toppled by war or contagion. Recovery, they think, could come faster than before, if only the sun returns. Mindshare, like the first green shoots in the snow, waits for warmer winds, for a Federal Reserve that finally lifts the veil of uncertainty. Some say the second half of this year, the end of 2026, will give us clarity. J.P. Morgan, those perennial optimists, expect digital asset flows to rise led by institutions. Not the street-level zealots this time, but the titans of finance, their boots crunching ice. Standard Charter's digital profit gives Bitcoin a new target, between 100 and 150,000. Ether, too, dreamed up toward nearly 5,000. Grayscale concurs. New peaks, new all-time highs are on the horizon. And then, the doubters, the believers in the sacred 4-year cycle. They say October is where the low will come. Rally, maybe, before the depths. Some whisper May, some point to summer, counting the moving averages like beads in a rosary, looking for a pattern in the chaos. Every cycle, every hope, every pain has a shape in the charts. The 200-day moving average already touched, earlier than ever, a cold hand pressed to the pulse of the market. 2 years, it feels like. That is how deep and slow the wound. Let us breathe together, you and I, in this moment. If any of this resonates, if you find some small light in my struggle, my questions, do me the kindness of hitting like. Leave a comment. Tell me what the cold feels like where you are. What keeps you watching the horizon when the night drags on? The 4-year cycle. It is the legend every crypto soul is taught, the myth that frames our pain and our hope. Blow off tops, then the quiet year of sorrow, a year for gathering, the having, then the bravest year as markets lift their heads again, and then, the next fever, the next ecstasy, the next fall. Patterns inscribed on charts like rings in ancient trees. From peak to peak, the same slow turning of the wheel. 461 days, peak to peak. 500 some days from halving to ascent. 1,000 days, nearly 3 long years, from the lowest valley to the next peak. Lows to lows, a rhythm almost as old as Bitcoin itself. But is this time different? Part of me thinks scarcity plays a part, 20%, maybe. The other 80%? Liquidity. Money is the true heat that drives these seasons. No matter how rare a thing is, without the warmth of buyers, it lies unloved, like driftwood washed ashore. Overlay the business cycle onto Bitcoin's madness. Yellow for the wider economy, white for our feverish coin. And they dance close, though now, business expands as Bitcoin shivers. The charts twist and turn inside my mind. Moving averages crisscross like the lattice of branches over a winter sky. When three short averages sink below the red, year-long line, the bearish wind blows stronger. A red X, a time to step carefully. When the averages lift, a green arrow lights the sky, bullish momentum returning. Not the bottom, not perfect timing, but a sign. Sometimes the bottom happens in silence, in darkness, and the green comes only afterward, a confirmation, not a prediction. In past cycles, the average trough came 430 days after the red. Look ahead. Imagine early 2027. That is when the long sleep could end. Bullish momentum returning for real, perhaps for good. Minor capitulation. Another kind of winter. Their machines whir in echoing halls, paid in Bitcoin but debts in fiat. They are forced sellers by necessity, not by hope. At the nadir, when revenue plummets, they sell, and the pain forces the market to seek a bottom. Every time, midway through these bear periods, the miner's agony precedes the dawn. The 200-week average, too, a shelter, a point of strength, and when price dips below it, a blue signal flashes, opportunity. Do I trust myself to buy in the dark? Sometimes, yes. Sometimes, only in retrospect do I see courage for what it truly is. RSI on the weekly. Oversold. The deviation oscillator, removing the wildest moves and leaving only the pulse, says the same. Each blue zone, each green line, a heartbeat closer to the low. From peak to valley, 413 days, 210 days, the falls are shortening, perhaps in mercy, perhaps in warning. If May is the date, then perhaps hope is not as distant as it feels. This cycle never gave us the riotous highs, the dizzy euphoria of before. There was no rush to cash out, no one holding sacks of gold at the mountaintop. We topped not on joy but on denial. Not a single party, but a slow drift into night. Bitcoin's fair value, its power law line, sits far above where we are, and so the fall is softer, the drawdown less abrupt. No grand profit to be taken, no orgy of selling. Just loss braided into every portfolio, mine included. There is a realized price zone, an ideal pocket for buying, if we dip down, perhaps to 51,000. I am ready, I am watching, I fear the prolonged agony, but my conviction burns in the ashes. My portfolio, my altcoins, I am ruthless, seeking only what endures, what glows when all else flickers out. Still, my belief in Bitcoin for the future is unshaken, even now. What was different this time? We ran ahead of ourselves, speculated around ETFs, hunted the halving before it happened, lit the fuse early. That led to a bull market in reverse. All the heat at the start, then a long, cooling descent. I saw it in the rise of new addresses, in the brief, feverish alt season of early 2024. Artificial intelligence, too, played its part, a buzz that faded as fast as it arose, leaving us still, shivering, in the valley of the bear. Long-term holders purchased through the bear, sold at the ETF dawn, playing out the cycle backward. Front-loaded pain, front-loaded hope. Maybe this means the chill will not last as long. Maybe the deep freeze is already ending. Macro conditions, not old patterns, now shape our fate. So we look outward as well as inward, weighing risk, following smart traders who take measured steps, small risks, great patience. If you feel what I am describing, if you have walked this ice with me, let me know below. Your words are not just data points. They are proof of humanity inside the machine. Like this video if you want these conversations to continue. to warm the edge of the next night. And if this story is not over for you, remember to explore more of what we share here. There are other videos, other stories, hope, data, and hard-won lessons waiting for you. Click the bell so you are never alone when the next season shifts. Until next time, take care of yourselves. The market may be cold, but together, maybe we stay just a little bit warmer.